Good morning, dear students. Today we will start with survey research. In the last PPT, we discussed research designs and how can we collect data through secondary data, or we can call it as secondary research. Now, today we'll be discussing what primary data is and how do we conduct survey research. Survey research basically means collection of primary data. And for that, we need to have a look at survey research in detail first, then we'll be going about how can we collect it. What do you mean by a survey? Surveys ask respondents for information using verbal or written questioning. Survey is something like a kind of set of questions you have, and you will be asking people about their answers, or you might give them that list of question and they'll be answering for those questions in writing. And respondent here is a very important person. Respondents are representative sample of people. Respondents are people who will be responding to your set of questions in the form of survey. Some basic definitions are, for example, survey is a research technique in which information is gathered from sample of people by use of questionnaire or interview. We will discuss what we call questionnaire and how an interview is conducted basically. Then sample survey. Sample survey is actually the research term, formal term used for survey, and it indicates that the purpose of contacting respondents is to obtain a representative sample of the target population. Then primary data. Primary data is basically data gathered and assembled specifically for the research project at hand. We discussed secondary data in our last video. Secondary data is the data which is already available in market, either through internet or through libraries or anything. That data had been previously collected for some other project rather than the project at hand. But when it comes to primary data is the data which is being gathered for the project at hand. Then respondent, the person who answers an interview question. What are the objectives of the survey? Number one, it may be to identify characteristics of a particular group. You might have something in mind, and you might be, willing to judge the characteristic of a particular group of people, or to measure attitude of people towards a particular product, or maybe towards a particular problem prevailing in the society, or to describe behavioral patterns of people about something, anything about a product, about a situation, or anything related, or to explore ideas, to explore new ideas basically. But when it comes to business, there might be some other kind of objectives available. For example, to launch a new project. When we talk about basic objectives of the survey, we are talking about the same thing, but we'll be just saying that we want to measure attitude, we want to measure behavior of people or characteristic of people in general. But when it comes to business, we will be reviewing their behavior, we'll be judging their attitude in respect of a new product, or maybe something related to business only. To launch a new product, you might want to ask people whether they are willing to buy such and such product or not. You might check people's behavior about a similar product. Then you'll be able to launch the product in a market where it is widely liked by people. Or maybe you can ask people what kind of different features they are looking for in a similar product, so as to add them in your product. Or it might be sometimes routine process for a business. Sometimes we just go for surveys just to know that whether people are liking the product or not, whether it is going good or not, just in routine process, so that to continuously improve the product. Or if business is not doing well, sometimes business is going through different stages. At some time when business is not doing well, we really need to check whether it's about the product or some other circumstances, and you can get to know about the actual cause through research only. So for that purpose also, we sometimes go for survey in context of businesses. Gathering information via survey, is it good or bad? When you collect information through secondary data, it is already available. It's very quick, it's very flexible as well, right? But the only problem with secondary data information is that it might not suit the needs of your project, right? For that, you will always go for surveys. So gathering information through surveys is very quick, it's efficient, it's accurate, it's quite flexible as well, it's relatively inexpensive, and it's extremely valuable. When it comes to secondary data, it's expensive. Surveys are expensive than secondary data information, but still it is quite inexpensive when it comes to some other methods we'll be discussing in further slides. So it's very useful to gather information through surveys because it is quick, efficient, accurate, flexible, inexpensive, and valuable as well. But there might be some problems. These problems might be sometimes poor design of the questionnaire or improper execution. For example, if your questionnaire is not good, its design is very poor, it might be like you have not actually asked people about everything you wanted to ask, or it might be like boring kind of the questions are there, or maybe the questions are not properly asked. Maybe if I go to a person who doesn't know the language English, and my questionnaire is designed in English, and the person on the other side speaks Punjabi fluently but not Hindi, but I am going to ask him the questions either in Hindi or English, then it might not serve the purpose 100%. So that is also a kind of problem with surveys. Or improper execution. Sometimes questionnaire is very good, set of questions you are going to ask them is very good, but execution is not proper. Sometimes surveyors are like that. They just give the questionnaires to people and ask them to respond and take them back as quickly as possible. Sometimes respondents doesn't answer all the questions, then it might not be useful for the organization. Or sometimes we don't ask all the questions from the respondents, we try to fill as surveyor, we try to fill all the questions by ourselves, and just because we are like people are not responding or something like that. So these are the problems. So we will be discussing all the problems in detail in just next video to this, but we will be discussing all the ways how to gather information in this particular video. Survey process basically is formulating the problem. We have designed the problem in our research process. Research stage, that was number one. Then we formulated research design, right? At the time of research design, we know that we are going to conduct a survey through so and so method. So for that, when we know that we are going to organize a survey, formulate a problem as per survey. Then conceptualization of the problem. How would we conceptualize the same problem? For example, we are facing some problem in sales, right? So that means there might be some problem with respect to product. So we will be listing all the problems which might be associated with the product, all the features of the product, pricing of the product, everything related to that product, and we'll list down all the questions related to it. Then data collection, we'll be collecting data with the help of that, the set of questions we have formulated, and we'll be asking people about that. There are different ways how to go with survey. We will be discussing that just after this particular slide, just after discussing the process. Then data editing. Yes, data editing is very necessary. Sometimes people don't respond 100% questions. Maybe if people have answered you 90% or maybe 95%, we will not leave that questionnaire just like that. We will try to fill the whole questionnaire on the basis of other responses, the respondent has provided us, and that is also sometimes called data editing. Or data editing is something like that as well. Like for example, you have asked 10 questions from the respondents, and they are on the basis of some questions are on the basis of scale 1 to 5, 1 to 7, 1 to 10, or some questionnaires are might be like open-ended questions, or maybe some questions where categories are there. So for that also you need data editing sometimes, like the way you will be filling the responses so that it is easy to analyze those questions now. Then results. Of course, in the end, you'll be providing survey results so as to know whether your survey was successful or not. Classification of survey research. This is very important. You can classify the survey on the basis of two things. One is what kind of the questions you are going to ask, or what is the time period for that particular survey research. Number one, questions. Structured and discussed questions. Structured question means a question that imposes a limit on the number of allowable responses. For example, you are trying to check people on the basis of some close-ended questions. For example, I might ask whether you like this product or not, yes or no. This is structured question. Or maybe I might provide 4 responses and the respondent has to choose one answer, one particular set out of 4. Then it is also sort of multiple choice questions. Then it is also a kind of structured questionnaire. For example, I might give them 4 options, that which is the feature most liked by you in this product. So it is just a tick involved in that. So that is called structured question. Then disguised question, an indirect type of question that assumes that the purpose of study must be hidden from the respondent. Sometimes we do not disclose the actual reason of the survey. So that is, in that particular study, we don't disclose all the options available. We try to ask information from the respondent as it is possible, because in this we can't provide them all the options available. We'll be trying to ask them everything, and that is disguised question. Then temporal basis, on the basis of time. Number one, cross-sectional study, a study in which various segments of a population are sampled at a single point of time. When I say that I'll be conducting survey in this particular month, this whole month would be taken as the time period of survey, but this is just one unit of time, and I'll be conducting survey now for all the population, all the sample available with me. That is cross-sectional study. Then longitudinal study, that means a survey of respondents at different points in time, thus allowing analysis of response continuity and changes over time. I'll be continuing the same survey over and over again, maybe every month, maybe every year, up to 10 years, up to 5 years. That is called longitudinal study. Some long studies, over period we are conducting the study. When in cross-sectional study, we will be conducting study in just one time. Then longitudinal means we are conducting the same study over and over again with either same respondents or different respondents. Then panel study, longitudinal studies that involves collecting data from the same sample of individuals or households over time. That means we will be conducting the study, same study, with same respondents every year maybe. Then it is panel study. When it comes to secondary data, we justify it in a way like that I'll be collecting data of company over 10 years, over 10 financial years. That is called panel study data. The same way when I do the survey over years, the same survey with same set of 100 people, same set of 10 questions over 10 years, that is called basically panel study. Time period for surveys. Again, cross-sectional studies, longitudinal and panel study. Cross-sectional study means various segments of a population are sampled data are collected at a single moment in time, right? And longitudinal means survey of respondents at different times, thus allowing analysis of change over time. Tracking study maybe, or compare trends and identify changes. Sometimes to compare trend, we go for longitudinal studies. This is basically, for example, consumer satisfaction. Consumer panel, longitudinal survey of the same sample of individuals or households to record their attitudes, behavior, or purchasing habits over time. When we go for longitudinal study, we are just trying to check consumer satisfaction level. But when we check this consumer satisfaction level almost every year, that is called consumer panel. We try to make a database on the basis of their attitudes, their behaviors, and their purchasing habits. In total quality management and customer satisfaction surveys. When it comes to surveys, most of the surveys are basically conducted to check customer satisfaction level and what kind of the features they want in new product if company is willing to go for a new product. So total quality management is very important here. It is a business philosophy that emphasizes market-driven quality as a top organizational priority. Quality management is basic priority, first priority of most of the organizations these days, because these days what we call customers as, they are the kings in the market. That is why it is really very important. Importance of survey research in TQM. What is it? Total quality management. It's a business strategy for integrating customer-driven quality throughout an organization, and implementing TQM is like asking customers to rate a company against its competitors. For example, I ask people to rate my company against some of my competitors. If they rate my company as number 1, maximum people are rating my company as number 1, then it's good. Otherwise, if they are rating my company as number 2, 3, or 4, then I definitely need to improve. I don't know at this stage whether it is the product, its pricing policy, or something else, but I definitely need to improve the company policy. Then monitoring company performance against benchmark standards. You can actually monitor your company performance against some benchmark standards as per your industry. Different companies in different industry have different benchmarks, different standards. So as per your industry needs, you can check it, and that is also done through total quality management. Then determining the differentiators provided by the company. If your company is providing something different in a product, or maybe in their product policy, then you have to check whether it is actually making a difference or not, and that is also done through either survey or total quality management approach. Stages in tracking quality improvement. Number 1, commitment and exploration. Then benchmarking, initial quality improvement, and continuous quality improvement. Let us discuss them one by one. Commitment and exploration stages. Management makes a commitment to total quality assurance. In starting, what we'll be doing is, we'll be trying to make some commitments. We might list down our objectives. Business researchers explore external customers' needs and problems. I have made a list that I'll be providing these qualities. Now I'll be exploring what customers wants. Then business researchers explore internal customers' needs, their beliefs and motivation. Internal customers here are basically employees, your suppliers. Benchmarking stage. Research establishes quantitative measures as benchmarks or points of comparison. You can take the best company in the industry to set the benchmark, or if your company is at top level, then you can set your own benchmarks. You can set your own standards that yes, you need to improve your company till this level. Overall satisfaction and quality ratings of specific attributes, that is also designed so as to keep improving. And employees' actual performance and perceptions. If you actually check employees' actual performance, then only you will be able to to know whether they are satisfied in the company or not, whether they'll be working further with your company or not. This judgment is also really important, so as to know whether employees are there with you for long run or not. Then initial quality improvement stage, third stage of total quality improvement. Tracking wave 1 measures trends, then establishes a quality improvement process within the organization, and then translate quality issues into the internal vocabulary of the organization and establish performance standards and expectations for improvement. This quality stage improvement stage basically is to set basic standards that yes, you are expecting this from the company as well as from the employees. Then continuous quality improvement, last stage of total quality improvement. It consists of many consecutive waves with the same purpose to improve over the previous period, or quality improvement management continues. We will see all the 4 stages with the help of some external and internal examples. Number 1, commitment and exploration stage. When it comes to business research activity with external consumers, actual consumers which are actually consuming the product. Exploratory study to determine the quality the customer wants, or to discover customer problems and to identify the importance of specific product attributes. This can be one thing you can survey for external consumers so as to improve quality over years. Or if it comes to management activity, then it might be like establish objective that customer should define quality. Or business research activity with internal consumers, exploratory study to determine if internal customers are aware of the need for service quality as a major means to achieve customer satisfaction, or to determine if they know the quality standards and they are trained properly. When I know that I want to serve these customers properly, then management's purpose should always be to improve the product to satisfy the customers. And I will be checking internal consumers, my employees, that whether they are aware of these things or not, whether they know that service quality is important or not. That can also be done with the help of surveys. Second stage of total quality improvement is benchmarking stage. You will be benchmarking, or say you will be setting some standards to measure overall satisfaction and quality ratings of specific attributes of the product. And when it comes to management level, identify brand position relative to competitor satisfaction and quality rating, or you can establish some standards for customer satisfaction. When it comes to internal consumers, for example, employees, benchmarking to measure employees' actual performance and perceptions about their performance. Third is initial quality improvement stage. Till now, we have just tried to check what is happening, or we just had set some standards. Now we will be tracking it through their actual measurement, actual performance. Track wave to measure trends in satisfaction and quality ratings in case of consumers. When it comes to management activity, we need to actually improve quality. So we will be looking forward to improved quality of the product as well as employees and reward performance. We will try to negotiate with this, like we will try to list down the rewards for employees and as well as for customers as well in the form of promotion activities. Then track for internal consumers is to measure and compare what is happening, or establish if the company is conforming to its quality standards or not, so as to tell them whether they are rewarded or not. Then last is continuous quality improvement. Track 2, final track, whether quality has improved or not, to measure trends in satisfaction and quality ratings again. Or again, when it comes to management activity, they will be checking whether the employees are to be rewarded now or not. And then for employees, to measure trends in quality improvement, whether they have improved the quality of product and their services or not. On that basis, you will be trying to improve their behavior. If they have not improved here, then one more quality check would be given so as to improve their quality performance. Some examples what can be surveyed. Determinants of the quality of goods. When we are talking about good, whether they are performing well in the market, what are their features, conformance with specifications, reliability of the product, then durability of the product, serviceability of the product, and aesthetics and design. These all are important. These days, everything is important, whether the product is looking good, whether its service is possible or not, whether it is going to be durable, whether it's reliable or not. Everything is important these days. So we are going to check, we can check everything related to quality of that product through surveys. Then determinants of service quality. How your firm is providing service. For example, when we talk about normal daily products, we will be talking about quality of goods. But when we talk about things like maybe washing machine, maybe fridge, maybe TV, in these cases, we give more preference to service of the product. Or maybe banking organization, their service matters, right? So assessment of the service, whether service is accessible, easily available or not, whether communication is good with your company or not, whether your company is competent enough to provide good service, or whether your employees are courteous enough to talk to the consumers, or whether you are a reliable source, or credibility is there or not. These are the parameters when we to be considered when we talk about service quality. That's all. Let us discuss some questions. True, false. The purpose of survey research is to collect secondary data. Is it? When we talk about survey research, we are talking about primary data. So it is a false. All survey research is conducted with consumers. Is it? No. It's not only a consumer, but we can actually conduct research with wholesalers, retailers, industrial buyers, or within the organization itself, with our employees as well. So it is false. Or survey research can be conducted with anyone. Third is, most survey research is descriptive research. Is it? Yes, survey researches basically are descriptive. So it is true. Next, some aspects of surveys may be qualitative. Yes, sometimes some surveys, some aspects of surveys are qualitative as well as quantitative. So both the questions are true. Most survey research is descriptive. Yes, these are descriptive researches. When we say that some aspect of surveys are qualitative, this is also true, because we are saying that most survey research are descriptive. We are not saying all the survey researches are descriptive, right? If we say that all the survey research are descriptive, then that would be wrong, that would be false. And when we say all the aspect of survey are qualitative, then that might be wrong. Or when we say that there is no aspect of survey which might be qualitative, that might be wrong. So when we say that some aspect are qualitative, that's true. Next is, surveys provide a quick, often inexpensive, efficient, and accurate means of assessing information about a population. Yes, surveys are basically quick. These are relatively inexpensive, efficient, and these provide accurate information rather than secondary data. So it is true. Last is, survey research techniques and standards are still quite unscientific. Is it? No. Most of the most all the survey research basically are quite scientific and accurate. So this is false. Some self-assessment questions. Number 1, define surveys and describe the type of information that may be gathered in a survey. You'll be giving a definition of survey here and type of information that can be gathered through survey. You will be list down all the information. Second, explain the advantages of survey. You have to list down all the positive points of surveys. You can even give one example for each. Number 3, compare and contrast cross-sectional studies and longitudinal studies. You have to start with cross-sectional study. What cross-sectional study basically is, collecting data at one point of time. And then what is longitudinal study? Collecting data at different point of times, right? You, after telling this, you can give examples of both the studies. Last is discuss the stages in total quality management process and the importance of survey research at each stage. There are four stages of total quality management process. Number one, commitment in exploration stage, benchmarking stage, then quality improvement stage, and continuous quality improvement stage. Right? You can take one activity, and on the basis of that, you can give examples of all four stages. That's it. Thank you.